Listen, someone just said, welcome to Connecticut, be our governor. I was just at a stop with Linda, and State Senator Kane came up to the microphone and said, I have an announcement to make. We've traded Daniel Malloy and a #1 draft choice to New Jersey for Chris Christie. And he said if we throw in Chris Murphy too. Well, let me just tell you something. I can't let you screw my home state like that. I just can't. I want to thank all of you for being here today. I want to thank the mayor for his welcome. And I want to thank my friend Linda McMahon for being a real patriot and offered herself again for public service for our country. And I want those people up on the stairs to know I see them. I don't know how you got those seats, but man, you must be special up there on the stairs back there. Who are the people sitting behind the chandelier, though? Chris Murphy at it again. Well, I don't know if we get this baby turned back on, but here's the good thing. Here's the good news. The good news is a guy from Jersey doesn't need a microphone. Now, listen, the stakes of this election are enormous. They're enormous for the future of our country. And here's what you're going to hear over the next 2 weeks. Over the next 2 weeks, what you're going to hear is that Connecticut is a blue state. Connecticut shouldn't vote for a Republican because a Republican from Connecticut would just cause gridlock, would just cause problems, wouldn't really represent the people of Connecticut. Well, let me tell you, you got living proof in front of you. It works when you elect a Republican in a blue state. In New Jersey, all the pundits and all the smart Alex on television, they all said, you elect this Chris Christie guy, there's going to be nothing but gridlock in Trenton. But guess what happened? You come with strong ideas and the power of your principles, and you reach your hand across the aisle to right-thinking Democrats and say to them, listen, do you want to be obstructionists, or do you want to try to work to better our state for the people who elected all of us? And I will tell you this, leadership matters. Leadership counts, who you put in these jobs matter, and if you elect an independent thinker like Linda McMahon, she will bring it to the United States. I don't believe all this garbage that they'll tell you that Linda won't work across party lines. Linda has spent her entire life building a business, building a family, worrying about not the power of the party bosses, but the power of the ideas that would help to create jobs, that would help to create wealth for others, that would help to make sure that her family and her business was as prosperous and as successful as it could be. And she's going to bring exactly the same philosophy to the United States Senate. Doesn't matter whether the idea comes from a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent. If Linda McMahon thinks it's an idea that's good for the people of Connecticut and good for the United States of America, she will fight for it. I'm an old prosecutor. And what I used to teach my prosecutors all the time is when you're making the closing argument, for your case, don't use your own words, even though you might love them. Don't use them. Don't use them. Use the words of the other side. Use the words of the other side. It's even more powerful to make your case. So let's talk for a second about Congressman Chris Murphy. Listen, I know it hurts, but hang in there. Now, Congressman Murphy is one of those typical politicians who, and there's only two types, you know. There's only two types of politicians. And I'm not talking Republican and Democrat. It is the type of politician who just wants to be something, and the type of politician who wants to do something. In this race, you have Congressman Chris Murphy, who has used each office he's had for his entire career as a stepping stone to the next one, just to get a new title for himself and new power for himself and the people of his party. And on the other side, you have a woman who has spent her whole life doing something for the people of Connecticut. Let's elect a doer and not somebody who wants a new title. Let's elect Linda McMahon. Chris Murphy's worst nightmare. A working microphone, baby. And listen, Congressman Murphy has said that he doesn't have a jobs plan because he doesn't need one. You know why he doesn't need one? He's already got a job. On November 6th, let's make him look for a new one. And I have to tell you something. I have to tell you. If you're looking for the person who's most likely to end what Linda talked about in her remarks, and she put it so well, you know, the partisan gridlock, the posturing, the preening, the posing that goes on in Washington, D.C. by both parties, everybody. I'm not here to say the Republican Party does everything right, because we got some folks on our side who are guilty of gridlock as well. And what we need is a new United States Congress, a new United States Senate, that puts the people first. Now let's be honest with each other. Even if there were supporters of Congressman Murphy here, they couldn't with a straight face tell us that there is anything, and I mean anything, in his record which indicates he'll reach across the aisle. This guy has been amongst the most loyal partisan Democrats in the entire United States Congress. He never reaches across the aisle. Linda talked about the electric boat votes. Not even then could he bring himself to reach across the aisle and do what was best for Connecticut rather than what was best for his party. Now listen, everybody, you got a choice to make in this race. Do you want to elect someone who is an independent thinker, an independent voice, who will reach out to both parties to try to come up with the best idea, or do you really want to elect Nancy Pelosi's butler? Chris Murphy is. He's Nancy Pelosi's butler. Ms. Pelosi, how should I vote today? Ms. Pelosi, can I get you a cup of tea? Ms. Pelosi, can I help you with your coat? Ms. Pelosi, what do you want me to do today for you that will hurt the people of Connecticut? Believe me, I'll do it because they won't remember. Well, let me tell you, on November 6th, you all are going to show you do remember the votes he made for his party and against the state, and you're going to give him a one-way ticket home from Washington, D.C. Linda's been out here working hard. She's been working really hard for the people of Connecticut. And she said it before, she's doing it for the reason that people who come into public life the right way do it. She's looking in the eyes of her grandchildren. And she understands this very simple truth, that the traditions of America are in fact our solemn oath to each other from the beginning of this country has been that each generation will make it their solemn obligation to leave this country better for the next generation than it was left for them. That has always been what America has stood for, and what our country has had more and more for the second generation. But we need to tell each other some truths here, everybody. We need to hear the truth. We're on the road to failing that test. We're on the road to being the first generation that fails that test. And I look at this young man sitting up here in his jacket and tie and his iPhone 5, it appears, taking a little video of me. How old are you? He's 15 years old. And let me tell you, I want him, and I know Linda wants him, and all the young men and women his age, to have the opportunity for every bit of greatness that we were given the opportunity to achieve. Because when I look out at this audience, except for this young man and a few other young folks here, I see an audience that in the main has already lived a great American life. We've already felt the great benefits of what it meant to be a citizen of this great country, and to have the opportunity that we've had. And I know we've got some veterans out here too, and those veterans have fought. those battlefields. They didn't enter those battlefields. They didn't lose some of their brothers and sisters in those conflicts because they thought they were going to come back to a country that was going to fail this young man and his generation. They did what they did because they believed in their heart that this is a country worth fighting and dying for because we care more about the next generation than we care about ourselves. Well, now's the time to prove it, everybody. Now's the time to prove it. A country with $16 trillion in debt and growing. A country that's added $1 trillion+ every year the last 4 years to this young man's bill. The bill that is every child who is born tonight will come into this world with $51,000 in their own personal debt and growing every hour of every day that they leave the womb. That's what we're bequeathing the next generation. Unless we decide that it is time not only to speak hard truths, but to perform the work that needs to be done to correct the nation's course. And let me tell you, this is a woman who does not need this job. This is a woman who is doing this because she sees the perilous path we're on. She knows the right way to fix our country. And you cannot hand this job over to just another career politician who's going to continue this failed course. You've got to start looking at that in the United States Senate. Let me tell you, just some short miles from here, there was a great American, one of the first real Americans, who stood on the floor of the Continental Congress and argued for independence for this country in 1776. Someone who helped to write that declaration, someone who helped to write so many of the major documents that now govern our country and the path that we have taken over the last 236 years. Now, you know, I was in Virginia last week, and they think all the time, all you're talking about is Thomas Jefferson and James Madison and George Washington, and they're all great, great founders of our country. But we also have another great founder that's just a few miles from here, John Adams. And John Adams, after 50 years of American independence, as John Adams was close to his death, he wrote this in his diary. And he didn't write it for himself, and he didn't write it for his family. He wrote it for us. He was sending a message to us, to the future generations of Americans, who are going to be confronted with challenge, who are going to be confronted with deep difficulties. And I think he wrote this to inspire us, and I want to share it with you tonight, because I think it applies to this campaign and to what Linda's trying to do for Connecticut and for our country. John Adams wrote this in his diary. He wrote, "You shall never know the sacrifices that were made to secure for you your liberty. I pray you will make a good use of it. For if you do not, I shall repent in heaven for ever having made the sacrifice at all." John Adams challenged us, all the future generations of Americans, to understand, to acknowledge the sacrifices that were made to secure for us this great liberty, this great blanket of liberty that we live under every day in this most amazing of countries. And he challenged us that if we were to fail to meet those future challenges, that he would repent in heaven for ever having he and Abigail made the sacrifices they made, themselves and their families, to secure for these future generations the great liberty that America has given to us. This is our moment of challenge, everybody. The greatest generation had World War II and the Depression. They met that challenge. The next generation had the challenge of rebuilding America after a world war. They met that challenge. The next generation had the challenge of meeting the turbulent 1960s and all the violence and troubles that happened and keep our country on the right course, and they met it. Ronald Reagan had the challenge of meeting the Soviet threat and putting down communism and totalitarianism around the world, and we met that challenge. And now today, we are met with a challenge of our own making, of our own excess, of our own willingness to be able to make hard choices. We are met with the challenge of debt that we have placed on ourselves and future generations. There is a course to get out from underneath this problem. It's making hard decisions, all of us standing up as part of a shared sacrifice to make sure that this young man's life has every bit of promise that mine had and yours had in this country. And the only way we're going to meet those hard truths is to put people in public office at key moments, in key decision-making roles that understand that challenge, that understand the challenge Adams laid down in 1826 in his diary, that understand that America is not a gift to us. It's not a gift to us. It is something that has been bequeathed to us for us to pass on and bequeath to the next generation. That's what we need to do. And on November 6th, if you believe that that's what America really is all about, if you believe that as Americans we have an obligation that is greater than our own self-interest, if you believe that you are ready to join the shared sacrifice that will allow us to rebuild the greatest nation the world has ever known for the next generation of great Americans, if you are ready, as I am, with 4 children between 9 and 19, not to have my children read about what it was like to live in an American century in some history book, but to live in a second American century, then we need to do what we need to do on November 6th. Nothing less than that's at stake. And so I'll ask you this as I leave. 14 days left. Because today's over. Today's over, everybody. I think we're all going to go home and watch a little debate tonight, probably. Today's over. So now I want you to go home. And whether your calendars are in an iPhone or a Galaxy or whatever the heck they're in, an Android or whatever all those things are, whether it's still in a book with paper and pen, wherever you keep your calendar, I want you to go home tonight before that debate starts, before you turn that TV on, before you pop the popcorn, before you get your beverage of choice out, and I'm not asking what that beverage will be. Before that happens tonight, I want you to open up that calendar. And I want you to think about what we talked about tonight. And I want you to ask yourself, of what I have planned the next 14 days, how much of that time am I willing to sacrifice for Linda McMahon to make Connecticut great again and to make America great again? I suggest to you, we're not going to ask for a lot, because Linda's already given everything she's got. What we need from all of you is 1 hour a day. 1 hour a day. 1 hour a day to talk to your friends and your family. 1 hour a day. When it comes Friday night in the football games, Saturday night on the soccer field, when it comes Sunday in the church parking lot, whether it comes Monday around the water cooler at work, whether it comes Tuesday in the supermarket checkout line, whether it comes Wednesday at the playground when you're picking your kids up from school, wherever it happens, wherever you happen to be, remember, wear those stickers you have on tonight. Wear those buttons you have on tonight. Will you wear them? People are going to ask you about them. What are you doing? What are you wearing that for? And you say this to them. You say, I've looked her in the eye. I've taken the measure of her character. I've listened to her plan and what she wants to do for our country, and I trust her, and I'm voting for her, and I'm asking you with all my heart to vote for her too. If you do that for 1 hour a day the next 14 days, she's going to be a United States Senator. And then when you wake up a little tired on the morning of November 7th, when you wake up and you get that newspaper at the end of your driveway, or you get up on the internet and the screen pops up to your favorite news site, or you flip on the TV to your favorite morning television show, and you see a smiling, waving Linda McMahon behind a podium. And the little title underneath it says, Senator-elect Linda McMahon. What you're going to be able to feel right here. Right here. You're going to be able to feel not like you worked on a campaign, but that you were part of a movement. That you're part of a movement that worked against all odds, that worked against the predictions of the pundits, that worked against the recent history of Connecticut, that worked rather for this young man and the generations like him. You were part of a movement that changed the course of history, not only in Connecticut, but in the entire United States of America. You will have the satisfaction of knowing that you are a patriot for a greater America. There is no greater sacrifice that a citizen can make to sacrifice his time, his energy, his fortune, and his honor for his country. And I need all of you to do that on November 6th. And if you do,